Hey guys, how's it going? So I'm here and I'm gonna tell another story. I know I don't really tell a lot of stories on this channel like I used to. Um, this one's gonna be about the cooking school that I went to for a small portion of my life. Crazy times in that place, I'll tell you that. It was during COVID, so the school was probably a lot more emptier than it probably would be now. You know, there was only a couple students that joined. It was me, this chick that I eventually found out was in prison at some point in her life for getting in a fight. There was this tall dude that came in every day, and then another dude that came in and just didn't seem like he gave a shit. He was always on his phone, you know, but it was like the four of us, and that was the class. And I guess because COVID, that's probably why it was so short. But basically, it was simple stuff. You know, the teacher would have us go. His name was Robert. He would have us go and do. It's weird. It's like you go in the kitchen every day, and then he has like a piece of paper on the table, and you just follow the recipe, and you just make the food every day. You know, that's basically all we ever did. So it's pretty much nothing too crazy. You know, as long as you follow what was on the list, you're good. The only thing that was crazy is that the teacher always forgot the food. You know, he'd always have to go back out to the grocery store and be like, "Oh, I'll be right back," and he'd take 5 years. But not to mention the commute to this place. It was like a bus, and then I got off and took the personalized like Uber that was with the school, so that they took you there. So that was pretty much the transport back and forth. But yeah, he'd always forget things, and then, oh my god, there was one time the tall kid, I don't remember their names. He took this plastic tray and he put it in the oven like an idiot, and it just melted and it was nasty. I remember the teacher was pissed, and he was like, "I didn't know the plastic would melt." Oh god, it's crazy. These people really were crazy. We did catering a couple times. I don't think it was anything too crazy, you know. I think we just walked around and did the little waters. There was this one Thanksgiving feast we did, and we were supposed to serve, but the teacher said, no, we'll do it. So I was happy that day. I don't really like serving that much. But, that's pretty much what it was to it. The kid that was on his phone I was talking about, he dropped out way early in, because apparently he got sick or something, and during the whole COVID rules, you were supposed to get a doctor note to come back, but he didn't want to do it, and the kid just never came back. There was a point in time where we had to do interviews, because we did like Zoom interviews and stuff, and he'd have us go in a room. I remember in the beginning, you know, I got confident as I went on. You know, he'd go around the room, he'd be like, "All right, I'm gonna ask you questions. You act like it's an interview." And in the beginning, I was like, "I don't want to do it," and then he was like, "No, you gotta do it." But I eventually got used to it, and I started doing that. Yeah, the school is basically there. I mean, they help you find a job, and I'll connect that later. There's one other time I want to talk about. There is this other dude that walked in towards the end of the class. I don't want to be racist, but he's like Chinese. I don't really know his name. Maybe it was Wang. I don't know. I'm not trying to be racist again, but I don't remember his name. Oh, no, it's Chow. That was his name. Chow was his name. But he was always like I don't want to say he's like a dimwit, but he was always like shoot, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a situation. Whatever. Like, he'd be asked something, he'd be like, "Oh, I don't know. Okay." You know, like, he talked like that. It's kind of hard for me to picture a scene in my mind. But I remember the teacher would always be like, "Oh my god." There was this one time, the most craziest time in this place. The tall kid and the lady that was in prison that I talked about in the beginning, those two had a huge fight, and I'm not joking with you. They were tossing paper towels. He was talking about, "Yeah, bitch, go back to jail. That's where you belong." And she's like, "Fuck you." This throwing shit. And Charlie, it was the craziest moment of my life. I was standing there, the teacher was standing there, we were just watching, and he's like, "You guys gotta stop." And it came to blows, boy. It was horrible. The teacher was talking about expelling both of them, and I was gonna be the only student left. And it didn't, and of course it didn't end up happening that way. They stayed. They eventually, they apologized to me. I think the next day or maybe later on that day, and they were like, "We're sorry, man." I was like, "Oh, it's fine." I mean, shit, it was entertaining to me, but it was crazy, craziest time of my life in that place. But other than that, it was an easy school. I mean, I eventually went on in life with the factory job, and then I told you guys a story about that when it didn't work out for me. I left that place. I split. I didn't like it. But other than that, eventually I was offered a different job. I'm not going to disclose it because you guys don't need to know all that. Maybe in the future. But I got this new job now, and it was through that experience. So it just goes to show you, sometimes if you do things in life, I'm not saying life will hand you everything, but it may hand you something every once in a while if you go down a certain path. If I would never went to that school, I would have probably been stuck with the factory. I would have nowhere to go. But other than that, that's pretty much the story. Crazy moments in this place. Yeah, it was peaceful. The school was pretty much closed. They had a bunch of sections. Like, they had different divisions. Oh, how could I forget? Before I close this off, there was another crazy moment. There was a time where I went in this room, and I think it was shared with another class. And this kid one day walks up to me, and he's like, I'm not joking with you guys. He's like, "Hey man, you watch porn?" I'm like, "What?" He's like, you watch porn, you masturbate. And I don't think that's officially the whole line that he said, but he said along those lines. And I was like, "No." and he's like, "How do you do it, man?" 'Cause I guess he was obsessed with it. I guess. But it was just the craziest moment because I was like, why is this kid asking me this? Like, this is us just meeting. So that's like, if I walk up to somebody, I'm like, "Hey, you beat your meat? You do?" Like, that's not the first question you're supposed to ask. First of all, it shouldn't be a question. How about a hello? But it was, that was the craziest moment, man. He was talking about that, and he was talking about, "Oh, I'm going to go to my friend's house later." And I thought to myself, I'm like, he has friends? What was their questions? Nice tits? Oh, how big's your dick? Like, seriously, how do you even make friends? I have no clue. It bamboozled me. Maybe he was lying just to make himself look good. I don't know how he ever had friends. I remember afterwards, everything was like awkward, and he was like, "Oh, you're not gonna think it's weird, right? We're still gonna talk." I'm like, "Yeah." And after that, I just ignored him. The rest of the time I was in that school. That was just the craziest question. That was a no-no. If somebody ever comes to you and asks that, and you don't know them and they're complete strangers, that's weird. No matter how you look at it. It's not no normal. I played it off as like, "Oh, it's alright," but no, it wasn't alright. But, yeah, that's my story. Other than that, hopefully you guys enjoyed this story time video, and I'll see you guys in my next one.